me again, because that's how I roll. All right. I'm doing some more of these. Right now I've only got 6 orders, but I'm going to get those all out today. So those are going to go out within just a couple days of them being ordered. And then I'm going to do a whole bunch more so that hopefully I'll get another wave of orders and you won't have to wait long for them to go out. But that's on my militarypatriot.net Etsy page, Etsy website, Etsy store. I also have another store that is called encoresign.net, and this is something that is going out today, made out of cedar, and these are fully customizable. And so anyhow, a lot of times people make them for their kids to put on their playhouses and things like that. And it is made out of cedar. Cedar is supposed to be really good for weathering outside. It will not stay as bright as this unless you continually put new outdoor quality covering on it. But they do last a long time even outside. And that'll be going out today. If you're interested more in my crafted carvings and that sort of thing, I have a whole nother YouTube channel called Crafted Carvings, and I put out a video on that channel today. I had a subscriber ask me about what do I think between eBay and Etsy and Amazon in terms of like the fees that they charge and everything. So if you'd like to see my answer to that, and that's something that you're interested in doing as a side hustle, then go on over to Crafted Carvings and let me know what you think of my videos over there. And if you'd like me to do more of them, then please subscribe over there and encourage me over there. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started with working on this stuff and sharing with you some of the news of the day. And I think I had somebody chat. Let me see what you had to say. Hello, Pierre. There's a small click of... When I expand on that, let me know. But anyhow, I appreciate you commenting. I really do. So anyhow, where the articles that I'm going to go over are from Facebook, and in the title of this live stream I said not long for Facebook. So maybe about a week or so ago I started a Reddit channel, and I'm trying to remember to put all of the things that I put on Facebook, all those links, to also share them on Reddit, because Facebook, the reason why I'm saying not long for Facebook is because they keep dinging me with false information and misinformation, whatever the fact checkers want to say on that. And sometimes I don't, most of the time I just share the link, and I just want it to be for me to research further later on, or to just kind of ironically talk about it or whatever. I don't necessarily know the facts of everything that I post on there, but how you figure that out is that you talk about it and you get input from people. And like I did a video yesterday that was about apparently anywhere from 400 to 10,000 cattle dying of heat in Kansas, and that apparently happened over the course of only one day. And one of the sources I had on that was, I think, Fox Metro. And hey John, hey Christine, Christian, hey, I appreciate you commenting. So I tried to share that link, and it was from Fox Metro, and they wouldn't even let me post it at all. No, most of the time when they ding me over on Facebook, on my Facebook group, Sweet Home California, they tell me, okay, well, it's been fact checked after I posted it. But in this particular case, this whole website, Fox Metro, looked like a legitimate website. I don't know, but they didn't like it, and they just wouldn't even let me post it to begin with. But then I found the same information somewhere else, and they let me post that. Again, as to how many it was, I'm not sure. If anybody is out there in, Tim Pohl talked about it. John, how many did he say over there? Because as I said, when I was looking at the information before, it was anywhere from 400 to 10,000. And that's a huge disparity on that. I don't even know how long it would take you to count 10,000, but it kind of looked like, I don't know if any of you watched Yellowstone. Not the terrible flooding that's been going on there, but the television show, a few thousand. So at least a few thousand. That's definitely more than 400. That's significant. Apparently I saw somewhere else that it costs about $8,000 a month to feed 5,000 cattle. That was from a post a farmer made talking about how expensive it was for farmers to get bring food to market for you. That's a huge investment. $8,000 to keep 5,000 head of cattle alive, and it takes somewhere like 18 months to go from being born to being able to be big enough to go to market. That's a lot of money to be spending on that. Um, totally lost my train of thought though, because I was talking about Facebook. Yeah, they didn't even let me post it. So anyhow, follow me over on Reddit as well, and there is a link in the description. At least there should be a link in the description down below. If not on this one, check one of my other videos, because I didn't do anything special on the description on this. Facebook, I know, I really should just totally get rid of Facebook, but it just is so doggone easy on the phone that I use. It's the thing that comes up first to be able to share to. It makes it very painless to share things to it. Of course, if they delete my page, then obviously it'll be easier to share with Reddit. But Reddit is just a couple more clicks, and I just have to remember to do it. But in any case, right now I am looking at my Facebook page, and so if you want to click on the different articles to get more information, then you can follow along on that, because I'm not going to go necessarily fully in depth on all of these things here. But the first one up is from Daily Caller. So I think Facebook should like them, right? I think they're pretty liberal. And they were talking about how we asked all 50 Democrat senators if they would endorse Biden in 2024, and only 5 said yes. Now that's not to say that 45 said no, but only 5 took the time to affirmatively say yes. And in the article, it does say who those 5 were. I know that there was one in New York, maybe it was Schumer, and there was, I know one of them was in Virginia. I think that was Tim Kaine had said yes on that. But, that's just absolutely, that's pathetic. And it's funny because there's another article that I shared on here also. Let me skip ahead just a little bit. It's got the picture of Trump like this. Yeah, AOC wouldn't say yes or no. So if you skip ahead here, there's another article that talks about last night was a big night for the big lie, and we are so screwed. And this is something, again, that's from the left's perspective. So if you go and you take a look at the articles that I share, they're not all just preaching to the choir type of thing. I want to know what the other people on the other side of the aisle are thinking. So in that particular article, the author is talking about how some Trump-supporting people Trump endorsed people won their primaries. And one of them was over one of the anti-Trump Republicans in their primary, that he had been one of the ones that had voted to impeach Trump and stood by that. He was soundly defeated in his primary this past Tuesday. Also talked about how a heavily Hispanic district, and that had been Democrat, this is in Texas, had been the seat had been held by a Democrat for the last 150 years. And she mentioned and bemoaned how it was in a special election. So this wasn't just a primary. This was a special election, and the woman who won is a Trump-supporting Republican who, by the way, is the first Mexican-born Congresswoman, and she's married to a Border Patrol agent. So, and in talking about that, she says the demographic shift is real. It's still heavily Hispanic, and of course she's Hispanic. So I don't know what the author point was trying to be there, but she was bemoaning demographic shift as though she was supported by people who were not Hispanic, but it's ridiculous. Let's see. Cackleberry Cottage. Did you take a look at that video I made for you over there? Yeah, let's see. John, you use Truth Social, YouTube, Rumble, Getter, and Twitter now. Yeah, I'm on Truth Social. I haven't done a lot over there on Truth Social yet because, again, it's not easy. I have to open up the web browser to be able to get over onto Truth Social, and so it's just hard to quickly share things from over there. Also, one thing I was really concerned about, I don't know, John, if you found this to be true or not, but the moment I signed on, within 2 hours, I had 70 followers. And so in terms of like how many of them are real and how many of them are bots over on Truth Social, I don't know, but I was asking the question. So every time I would get another 10 or 20 followers for having done really nothing, I was questioning, how many of you are real, communicate with me, don't just follow me, tell me who you are, whatever. And nobody ever commented on it. But now, I checked again not too long ago, and I went down from having 70 some odd followers to now I'm down to, I don't know, it was maybe only 20 followers. But again, I was like, how do you find me Facebook? I don't think I gain people that fast on Facebook with people that I actually know and everything. So that's just makes me a little concerned about Truth Social. And also, speaking about Truth Social, I'm really concerned about is I'm a stockholder so I put my money into this, and I'm really hopeful that it does very well because, as I said, I put some money into this. The stock on Truth Social is just awful right now. Man, I wish I had sold at 175. But really, we did it because we wanted to support the concept and see it through. So we didn't sell, and now it's down to like $29. So not happy with that. But everything's going down on the stock market, and I don't know anything about investing and all that. We just do mostly, the mutual funds with the 401k, and of course, our money has gone down to next to nothing on that. But hopefully it'll go back up before we actually need it. Oh, anyhow. So back to this article here. So last night was a big night for the big lie, and we are so screwed. So at the end of her article here, there's some other things that she talked about. Let me see what I can find on here real quick. Have to click on it. So they talked about, the Republican that overtook the pro-impeachment Republican. Also talked about how the Mexican-born congresswoman won her spot, and she's got a Border Patrol husband. And of course, so she's in favor of law and order. And what else did they have to say? The cherry on top, it says, of this steaming pile of awful. Again, this is from the Democrat perspective here. So as I said, I don't just share articles that are preaching to the choir. So she says, the cherry on the top of the steaming pile of awful is a new USA Today Network Suffolk University poll has right-wing conspiracist Doug Mastriano within the margin of error in the race for governor. Of course, from my perspective, I think that's a really good thing. And then her last point in this article was, and I'm not going to even get into what's happening with inflation, interest rates, or the stock market. Happy effing Wednesday. Everything that's happening with inflation, interest rates, and the stock market is 100% completely owned by the Democrats, in my opinion. Let me know what you think, whose fault it is. But, she's was talking about all these Republican wins, and then she says, and I'm not even going to get into the inflation and the interest rates in the stock market. Kind of insinuating that it had anything to do with Republicans. It's got nothing to do with Republicans. Not anything at all. So anyhow, that's what that article had to say. Let me get back to the next thing here I wanted to talk about. All right, so I skipped a couple, so I'm going to go back here to Ghislaine Maxwell's cellmate has claimed that she was offered money to kill the Epstein accomplice, lawyers say. Maxine's lawyers apparently put in a statement trying to keep their client protected, that this cellmate had bragged to several other people, at least 3 other people in jail, that that she was offered money to kill her, and that's how she planned to even do it. Anything more come of what exactly happened to the main person? You know, the other one that, you know, apparently offed himself. We had some funny memes during that era, you know, that, you know, what do Christmas lights and Jeffrey Epstein have in common? The answer is they don't hang themselves. So anyhow, I hope she stays safe, because of course nothing more has come of that. That is like no leaks whatsoever. How often does that happen in DC, especially if anything to do with sex scandals, right? And nothing's been leaked yet. I just find it really hard to believe. All right, so let me know your comments on that. All right, the next one up is another thing for California crazy. California lawmaker is proposing requiring gun owners to be insured. Now this is, again, it starts somewhere, and San Jose, a town in California, passed a law a year or two ago that was requiring everyone within the city limits of San Jose to maintain insurance against liability for accidental discharge, and there are two things: accidental discharge. I don't remember the other thing. But anyhow, there are two different things that they were going to cover: accidental discharge and something else. I can click on it, but it just takes too much time. You guys can read the details on it. But apparently there aren't really insurance instruments for that. So to be able to get that is difficult. And of course, you're then tying a constitutional right to forcing someone to pay for insurance. So no matter whether the insurance is available or not, or no matter even what it costs, it could cost 5 cents a month for all they care. It's still a matter of requiring somebody to buy something in order to exercise their right. That is akin to a poll tax, wouldn't you say? That is going to obviously impact the poor much more than it will the wealthy. And so it should definitely be fought every step of the way. But the problem is that, of course, what normally happens in California, a lot of what happens in California spreads elsewhere. Here, I'm missing some other comments here, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what else is being said. Thank you, everyone who is commenting. So you got 18 on Truth Social immediately? Yeah. And Truth is connected with Rumble. Yes, I need to get back to that. And Cackleberry Cottage, thank you for watching it and suggesting that that video there, and I hope that it helps other people. It was I've got a very small following on my other channel called Crafted Carvings, so I haven't been putting as much over there because I like having that immediate feedback of having, you know, being able to go live and being able to talk to you. And when you have only 60 some odd followers on that other channel, it's really easy to kind of ignore it. So if anybody's interested in knowing more about crafting and the side hustle of making things on Etsy, then you show me some encouragement over there and subscribe to Crafted Carvings, and I would really appreciate it. Let me see what else we've got here. John says, new CNN executive told the news shows no more big lie quotes on air anymore. Yes, I was listening to that while I was driving earlier today. That is awesome news. Apparently they want to court independents and conservatives again, and the way that CNN had been going for the last several years, of course, their viewership kept going down and down and down. So Tim Pool was talking about how they have more people watching them on YouTube, not even with podcasts and everything, than some of their biggest names on CNN. And Brian Stelter may be losing his job. That's apparently the rumor mill going around, that he may have only weeks left in his position. So what I'm working on right now, for those of you that may not be aware, is like, what is she doing? I am cleaning off. There's on these vacuum chambers, I use PVC, that's just sewer pipe, and it has this wonderful red lettering all over it, and it's pretty much next to impossible to get it off completely, but I try and do my best so that when it's sitting there on your kitchen counter, it doesn't look too terrible. For those of you that have ordered one, and you may also consider getting some contact paper. You put the contact paper over it, and then you're not going to see it anyway, and it looks nice. I'm not sure exactly how long it lasts, so I haven't really offered it as a paid upgrade, but it's really simple. You know, you get some contact paper from the dollar store for, you know, about $3 or so, and you can put it on there yourself. And then if it were to get ruined because you had to wash it or something, then you just put another one on, right? All right, so what's next? Oh yeah, so this next one was talking about some more ballots, balloons. I'm not sure exactly how sensitive YouTube is being nowadays on talking about you know, that people picking process. But I was an election worker for my county June 7th. They started mailing out ballots like May 9th. And the day that it went out, I got a text message from the county saying, your ballot is in the mail, so you should be receiving it shortly. And sure enough, I received it within a couple of days. And then on election day, I didn't mail it. On election day, I brought my ballots along with my family members, and we put it directly into the drop box at the ballot. And then that night, it gets picked up by official county election worker people. There's always two with the ballots at any given time, and then they are driven from my town to the county seat in Bakersfield and Kern County, where they are to be counted. Sounds like it should be pretty simple, right? I didn't get a notice from the county that our votes had been counted until June 14th, exactly a week after the election ended. I got notification, so I'm assuming it was done that day, because it got mailed out. I got the notice that it was mailed on the day it was mailed, and I got it a couple days later. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about the fact that it took a week for something that they had in their hands on election night. It took them a week to count it, and of course they are still accepting. They're still counting at 1.7 million ballots as of I looked at it on Wednesday. 1.7 million ballots, according to that sheet, still had to be counted, and yet they were calling races all over the place for most of California. They were already calling the races, and I think they had only, the article I read said that there was only a 16% turnout of 22 million registered voters in California. They said they sent out 22 million ballots to the 22 million registered voters. So 16% of 22, I think I figured out, was like a 3.5 million. And of course that, I'm not sure if that counts the 1.75 that were still left to be counted, or if the 1.75 is an addition to that 3.5. But either way, that's still a huge percentage of votes that are left to be counted that could definitely sway close contests. And so how many of them are going to change? Or do they already know what the answer is? I don't know. But the article that I wanted to talk about was, it said over 100 mail-in balloons were found discarded on the sidewalk. And apparently this happened back in May, and I just found out about it today. But back in May, when they were all being mailed out, that a woman who was walking her dog found a whole big flat, official United States Postal Service flat of the ballots. And she called the police department. Police department basically told her, not our problem, call the post office. I think she said she also called the post office, but she also called the county registrar. And so they sent someone official that had a card and said, okay, yes, I'm here officially to pick this up. And he picked up the ballots. Now, the election workers are all required, that it's supposed to be 2 people to maintain accountability of all these ballots. It didn't mention in the article whether this registrar came with 2 people or if it was just the one person. And of course, the whole thing with mailing it is just the mail carrier. The mail carrier is being entrusted with at least 100 some odd ballots because they're in a flat here, and so they're supposed to get them to everybody's individual mailboxes. So anyhow, just food for thought. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not making any insinuations. I am not guessing what greater ramifications these may be. These are just observations. Here's another thing. Okay, so Soros-backed challenger ousts incumbent prosecutor in the main race. So tying that back to California, we've got a couple different Soros-backed prosecutors. One is the LA DA, who's Gascon is his name, and Gascon is under threat of recall. And I just found out, I think it was announced today, that the people who are getting signatures and everything, it's LA County, so I can't sign it, I'm in Kern County, but I just saw an article where they said that they have enough signatures now to put him on the ballot for recall. So that is obviously very good news, because they are saying that Gascon is responsible for the 2 LA County police officers who were killed just a couple days ago. They were killed, unfortunately, God rest their souls, by a criminal who had been let out by Gascon's policies. He was a felon in possession of a firearm, and he was given 20 days served. So he was already incarcerated for, I guess, 20 days before his trial date or whatever. And they put him on 2 years probation, and he was let out for the time served already. And he was a felon in possession of a firearm. That was that particular thing that he was tried for. A week before this criminal killed these 2 police officers, somehow he is in possession of a firearm again. And apparently it's illegal for a felon to be in possession of a firearm. So he was already, on probation for doing that the first time. And then somehow he managed to get one again. I don't know how that happens. But a week before, his probation officer was doing their job, because they had put in to revoke his probation, because the terms of his probation had already been violated, because he was accused of domestic violence with his girlfriend. But yet, a week later, and Gascon had not acted on that. And unfortunately, because of that, those 2 police officers lost their lives because of this criminal and lenient sentencing that the Los Angeles County DA is responsible for. And he was a Soros-backed DA. So Maine, you need to keep an eye on this person. The Soros-backed challenger is ousting the incumbent, and this was in their primary. But apparently, no other DA was running on the Republican side. So even though this was a primary, this Soros-backed challenger is likely going to become this particular Maine County prosecutor, DA. That's awful news. That's awful news. I don't know what the rules are in Maine, but if there's anybody in this particular county, you want to find out which county it is, go check it out on my link. It's on Sweet Home California, my Facebook page there. I have a link to the article. If you've got a law degree, I don't know what the qualifications are, anything. Just if there's any possible way that you could, even start like a write-in campaign to challenge this person. Otherwise, as of right now, it looks like it is going to be, this person is not going to be challenged in the general election and will just walk on through. And it's a Soros-backed, light on crime, that, wants to get people out of prisons. And that's not the solution to crime, to go light on prisons. I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I'm pretty sure letting violent criminals go free is not the answer. Another Soros, but a win though. One of the Soros-backed DAs got ousted. I think it was San Francisco. Somebody comment for me and let me know who it was that got ousted in the primaries. I'll see what people have to say here. Oh. Yes, Brian Stelter needs to go. Definitely needs to go. Oh, we got a lot of comments here. I really appreciate all the comments. Thank you, Daniel. Or Danielle. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I think it's Daniel. People don't realize red flag laws are the same as stop and frisk. Yes. Oh, my goodness. I got to tell you about a neighbor of mine who was hit with a red flag law. Crazy, crazy daughter-in-law lives on the property with my neighbors and accused them. And their hearing wasn't for like a week or so afterwards. Well, the police came and took all of their weapons, and then the hearing was like a week later, and the judge completely threw it out. It was like, this is ridiculous. There's no substantiated evidence that my neighbors were guilty of doing anything untoward. This woman definitely has some mental issues. And anyhow, subsequently, the daughter-in-law and the son and the grandkids have moved off the property. It's all very, very sad. But it's been like 2 months now, and they have still to get their weapons back. It's like a whole big process that is going to cost them money. And in fact, at the hearing, my neighbors wanted a ruling that they would be responsible for paying the fees because they were falsely accused. The judge threw out the case, and they're not wealthy people. And the judge said, no, we're not going to make her pay because she's not very terribly rich either, but she suffered no ill consequences for having made this false allegation. And now, my neighbors are in a bad situation. We're very rural out here. We do have great neighbors, but unfortunately, not everybody here is from here. We have people who will drive through that are tweakers and looking for things to steal, and so you just never know. And the moment that you call the police, it could take hours before they get out here, if they can come out at all. So not good at all. Not good. So I'm totally against red flag laws where they take your weapons before you have the due process. And then especially to have all this bureaucratic red tape that they have to go through. They had to file a whole bunch of stuff online, and now they're just waiting to hear back on when they can get their weapons back. That should never have been taken away in the first place. Thank you. All right. Thank you all so much for your comments. All right, let me see what else is next. So what I'm working on right now is I am marking the lids. So these lids will either have just one hole where the food saver port will go in, or it'll have 3 holes where I will attach a handle depending on how you order it. So it makes it easier to take the lid on and off. So that's what I'm working on right now. All right, next thing up is Ford is pulling the plug. It says on Pete Buttigieg's 44,000 electric SUV that's made in Mexico. Apparently it's being recalled, that there's something wrong with it, that it could explode, catch on fire. Yeah, I'm not one for adopting the first version of anything. Let somebody else pay for the first of something. I want to buy something that's been proven. So, anyhow, and Pete Buttigieg was like, yeah, just buy an electric car. Everybody should buy an electric car. I saw another article somewhere where it talked about someone was driving 360 miles in Australia, and it took them like all day to drive that, and they were never so happy as to see a gas station with a regular fueled vehicle, because it just takes a long time. Not every car can do the fast charge things because they're not standardized. Tesla has a fast charge, but not every car can do the Tesla fast charge. Next up was about Hunter Biden revealing that there are 5 guns in Dad's house while berating his sister-in-law via text. So apparently his sister-in-law took the .38 caliber weapon that Hunter Biden had purchased by lying on his federal background form. So I'm totally in favor of having like real background checks, not a questionnaire where you can say, no, I've never had any sort of felonies, and no, I've never taken illegal drugs. And that's apparently what Hunter did, is that he said that, oh, and also being dishonorably discharged from the military is also something that is a disqualifier for owning a firearm. And he was dishonorably discharged. So you might be able to say, okay, well, maybe they couldn't, maybe if he wasn't arrested for being for taking illegal drugs, that might be something that, yeah, it's on the honor system when you say that on your background check. But when there are records that you were dishonorably discharged from the military and you can still get a firearm and lie on that, obviously nobody's looking at that form. So I'm totally in favor of real background checks. I thought we had them, but apparently not. I've got a neighbor who works at our local gun store, and we bought from him before, and it's a very, it's a 10-day process, and he said that there are 2 background checks in California. There's the federal form, which he said goes nowhere. Nobody looks at it. They keep it on file the way that they're supposed to, but nobody looks at it. And then there is the more stringent background check that California requires, and that's the one where people are caught and are turned down from owning a firearm. So I did not know that was the case. So I am totally in favor of real background checks to catch people like Hunter Biden and other criminals from getting a firearm. But anyhow, just this article talking about Hunter Biden, saying there are 5 guns in Biden's house. It's just, I wonder if any of those are any of the ones that he wants to prevent us from owning. I'd be really interested to know that. It didn't say in the article, just that apparently Joe Biden owns 5 guns. And the sister-in-law, by the way, took that 38 that Hunter Biden illegally purchased, and she threw it in a trash can across the street from a high school. And then they went to go find it later. They couldn't find it. The FBI got involved. But so far as I know, there's been absolutely no charges brought against either the sister-in-law who threw it away across the street from a high school, or against Hunter Biden for losing positive control of a firearm that, of course, he illegally obtained. And, of course, nothing bad against him for having illegally obtained it in the first place. Mama knows. Yes, Gascon has got to go. The place that sold him the weapon, if they knew he was not legally eligible and still sold it, then they were culpable legally. That is true, but the thing is that not everybody knows everything there is about Hunter Biden. This apparently happened back in 2018 or so, and I don't know if everybody would have been able to recognize him even with a name. But you're right. But to be able to prove that they positively knew that he was not eligible, I don't know how hard that would be to make that case. Excuse me. Let me get some coffee. See what else is up. Oh, this is really bad. All right, so again, for people who are just joining me here, I am following along on some news articles that I saved throughout the day, the last couple days, since my last live stream or whatever, to remind me on what I'd like to cover. I don't get to all of them, so you're always welcome to follow me on Facebook, or because I'm not sure how much longer I'll be on Facebook, make sure you follow me over also on Reddit. I'm trying to remember to post all these articles over there as well, just in case Facebook decides that they've had enough of me. But this next article says that Biden is planning to ban, quote, conversion therapy for gender identity, in honor of Pride Month. And there's a picture of Biden along with a picture of the first quote-unquote woman. What is her role? Surgeon General? I don't know. Something to do with medical. Ridiculous. But anyhow, he wants to ban any place that gets federal funding from offering anything other than saying, yes, you were right. So if a child who's 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, whatever, if they say, you know what, I feel like I am not the biological sex that the doctor assigned me when I was born. The doctor was wrong. If this goes through, this isn't a law. This is an executive order. This executive order has now made it where if your counseling center or whatever receives any sort of federal funds, makes it illegal for them to do anything other than to affirm that 3 or 4-year-olds or 15-year-old, whatever. But studies have shown that of those who report feeling like they're in the wrong body, of those that report it, even if nothing is done, the vast majority of them, well over 75% of them, once they finish puberty, accept the body that they're in. That is the problem with having a federal government that provides money for everything, because people then become reliant on the money, and therefore they have control over you. Whenever the government is paying for something, they of course have the right to set some rules. So when government is paying for health care, they have the right to set some rules on the health care. If government is paying for counseling, they have the right, or at least they think they have the right, to specify what can be counseled. When government is paying for education, they have the right to decide what is going to be in the curriculum. This is why we're supposed to have a small government. We're supposed to have 50 different state level organizations, and then all the different counties below that, the hundreds of different little experiments at the local level of how to do things, figure out what works. And you know what? What works in Alaska may not work in Florida. It probably won't. There are different needs, different populations. What you educate on, how you counsel, all those things are going to be different. You can't have, and you shouldn't have, a one-size-fits-all across the country. And that's when you have problems, because you have a bureaucrat that says this is the way it's going to be, and then you find out a year later, you know what? There were some unintended consequences of doing that. And people are having mental breakdowns because of a policy that was instituted across the entire country. We need to get back to limited government. We need to get back to where the federal government does what is only constitutionally required of it, and that's it. Everything else should be done at the local level, not even the state level, the county level, the town level. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. But this, I think, is really, really detrimental, because Biden not only wants to do this across the United States, he also wants to do this internationally. So anywhere in the world that the United States gives money, he wants to say, nope, all you can do, if you've got a person who claims to be the other gender, even if they are coming to you saying, hey, I've got this problem, I think I'm this, can you help me? I don't want to feel this way. They don't have the option if they ever want to continue to receive funds from the federal government. And that's what we need to do. We need to just cut ourselves off from these funds. And this isn't money that is really given by the federal government in the first place. This is money that is taken by Americans. This is our money. That's why we need to limit federal government again. It needs to be just what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be protecting interstate travel. They're supposed to be making treaties with other countries, and none of this other stuff. The Bureau of Education, healthcare, that sort of thing. Anyhow, let me see what else is here. Free pass like Mr. Pelosi. Yes. Did you see that? What was it? The mugshot. Yeah. Fox News put in a request for getting the mugshot, and then when they decided that they had to follow the FOIA request, they released that mugshot to every other major news outlet and gave it to Fox News last, even though they were the ones that asked for it. See, if of my kids in my child's 7th class, 22 of the 26 kids feel misgendered or something else, along with depression and self-damaging of some sort. Oh my goodness, that is so heartbreaking. There is a video that Ben Shapiro did with a young lady. She's a girl, and she felt that she was a boy. And she attributed it to social media. She said, I think she was 11 years old when her parents gave her a cell phone. And she had unsupervised access to everything in the World Wide Web. And one of the things that it said on there was that um, if you question if you are you're the right gender, then you're obviously the opposite gender. You're not. Because only people who are transgender question whether or not they are transgender. And she said that, every time she made mention of anything, that she always received all these positive affirmations and positive attention for being so brave and all this other stuff, from, living this other life. And she didn't tell her parents. This was something that she didn't discuss with her parents until she decided one day, you know what, I want to go ahead and I want to take the hormones and everything to stop becoming a woman, because she was, I don't know, maybe 12 or so at the time. It started, as I said, when she was 11, so I'm not exactly sure how old she was. And she wanted to start taking the cross hormone therapy and everything. And she didn't have a conversation to talk to me. She's like, this is what we're going to do. I don't recall everything that was stated in the interview, but look for it. It was Ben Shapiro. It's not that long ago. Ben Shapiro, and talking with a young lady. She's now back. She is living as a girl, but because when you take those hormones and everything, you can do permanent damage. So I don't know at this point whether that damage may have been done. She may never be able to have children. It's sterilizing. This is sterilizing, our next generation. It's absolutely, this is like crimes against humanity here, to be indulging in this latest fad. And children are like that. There was a meme I saw that was great. It was talking about the Andy Griffith Show. I remember this show where there was a hobo that lived free and everything, and he was encouraging all the young kids to follow that kind of lifestyle. And part of that lifestyle, of course, I think was probably stealing stuff and things. And so anyhow, Opie wanted to not live in the house anymore. He wanted to live this free life of a hobo. And anyhow, Andy confronts the hobo, and the hobo says, well, you should just let him decide. And Andy Griffith said, well, you don't let youngins decide, because they're just going to go after the first shiny thing they see, and they're not going to realize what kind of damage it can do to you until it's too late. So as adults, we have to make those decisions. And adults right now are being encouraged to totally abdicate their responsibility. I think it started with, who was it, Dr. Sears, that said we shouldn't spank our children. Not that I had to ever spank my daughter. She was, she's kind of like me, where my parents could look at me cross-eyed, and I just wanted to please them so much. But not all children are like that. Some children, need to have discipline, and if they don't have the discipline, then they're going to go off the rails. And if you don't discipline them when they're 2 years old and 3 years old, how are you going to discipline them when you've got a rebellious young teenager at 14 that towers over you? It's not going to happen. They're going to be out on the streets, and they're going to be the police's problem, and they're going to be killing your neighbors and stealing from them, and they're going to get killed. So we have to be parents. So anyhow, I am done doing all the stuff that I needed to do today, so that I can do on camera. Now I got to go make some noise and use the drill and all that other good stuff. So anyhow, God bless. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. If you guys like Alaska Prepper, the reason why I've been blessed with making so many of these orders here lately is because he was kind enough to share his audience with me and talking about my vacuum chamber sealer. And anyhow, I am trying to give back. I'm going to be giving away 2 of my vacuum chambers to members of his audience. He's going to be doing a live stream tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Alaska time, which is 3 p.m. Pacific, and then you can figure it out from there where it is in your time zone. But I'm giving away 2 of these. So anyhow, I'm not sure how he decides. He says it's random. So participate in that live stream. Let them know that you're there from Sweet Home, California, and I wish you luck and in winning that. And if you'd like to buy one, then just look up militarypatriot.net, and I have that available on my my Etsy store. Anyhow, God bless, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.